was across 12 rounds that Area Lodgebox Series drivers contested to get into the playoffs. And after just 2 races, we're going to eliminate 4. That is a third of the 12-driver field to eliminate those top 4 and then bring in our 8 final contestants for the remainder of our playoffs. We'll have 1 more elimination, have our final 4 at the final round of the season. Tonight, Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Roll the dice and take your bets because tonight's race is going to be a wild one. Racing into the sunset this week so far at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. All the area series have raced in the dark. But now we've got the lights are off, but they will turn on. The stars on the track and in the sky will come out later this evening for the 14th round of the season. I'm Kyle Heyer, joined by Connor Horn, and of course, as always, Hunter Sleppy beside us here this evening up in the booth. Practice is underway, guys, but so far, Connor, it has been an exciting playoffs. Last week, the IMS road course, and this week, we're back to the oval stuff. And on top of the standings, of course, it is James Scioli with that win. He locked himself in last week. Elwood's locked it on points, but for Chris Rabel and everyone on back behind him, it's going to be a pretty interesting night.
Going to be tough for a lot of people. You can even group Shane Therian in there. He's only 4th of a good, so really 7th on back are the guys who are going to need good runs. Greg Mitchell, Tommy Ryan, they still need to perform, but not as badly. And then you got the guys behind the cut line. 3 of them who've been behind the cut line since the start, even before Indy Road Course. That'd be Fambro, Grant, Cameron Hearn, and then Rob Ackley, who dropped out after last week, if I'm not mistaken. And Therian got his way in. Still surprising, I keep saying it every other week, still surprising to see Cameron Hearn down there, 7 back now after he wrecked out of the final corner last week and lost a spot to Fambro. So he's going to have work to do along with Ackley and the others, Hunter.
Cameron Hearn finished 2nd in last season's race here at Las Vegas, and him being last in the grid, or in the bottom 4, certainly an urge of urgency there for Hearn, and not only him, but Ackley, Grant, and Fambro. And one thing I've noticed from the Cup and Truck events is that those that are in the bottom 4 heading into Vegas did not make it out of Vegas. So they were stuck in that bottom 4 cutoff. So maybe we'll see things change here at Las Vegas.
Here's a quick look at the team standings as well. John Furness, we're being told, is going to be start and parking tonight. So, Hunter, before we step away and go back to the racetrack and cover some practice, how does that change things here? Furness starts. There are 28 drivers here tonight. So 25 points ahead of the cut line. I wouldn't say that he's completely safe. I also don't think it's necessarily going to be that big of an issue.
No, well, you do get a bonus point for going without having an incident point during the race. So if you get 0 incident points, that's a bonus point. And I'm not sure how that's going to work out for him, though, because if there's more than 25 in the field, then that's going to put him at a significant disadvantage. You do get bonus points for getting the pole, leading a lap, leading the most laps, but if he's starting and parking, I'm not sure if he's going to have that same urgency for qualifying.
So Las Vegas Motor Speedway, constructed back in 1996 at a cost of $72 million. Cars on track now, 28 drivers in the field, and all the playoff drivers are lit up in green on your timing and scoring, and right now at the top of that board, Connor, is Alan Elwood. He's locked in on points. Put a valiant effort in last week running at the IMS road course. Nice looking livery on this 49 car tonight. He's got nothing to worry about, neither does Scioli. But the rest of the field, they could use some help tonight. A win locks you in, but certainly you wouldn't pass up an opportunity for just a solid top 5 run.
Yeah, no, he would not. And Elwood's looking for at least 2 in a row. He might have more dating back past the playoffs. But Indy Road Course, he got 5th place. A little bit of a struggle for him tire-wise, but he was able to make it work, and he's looking for maybe just to pick up momentum going to the next round, because we know he's one of the title threats after, I believe, winning the regular season title. So he should be in to try to get the best run possible, and you know he's fast enough to do it. That's why it's at the top of the timesheet. Not by too much, only 100th in front of the 33rd David Weishart, someone who was not able to make the playoffs, but he's been fast all season. So Weishart could definitely play a spoiler, as well as Brad Sloan Jr. in the 81 machine. Beautiful DPC podcast paint scheme as well. Voted. Oh, it's not going to look beautiful in a minute.
Oh, man, he caught the end of that wall exit.
It's a Jeff Gordon opening.
I was going to say,
beautiful.
we talked about this on Monday, I think, Hunter, if you recall, but it's a gnarly opening.
Right down there. Ooh. That time he hit it with the rear end instead of the front, so it's more whiplash in the back. But going back to John Furness, he's not eligible for the bonus point unless he completes a lap. And it seems like he's not going to be able to get back in here to put down a lap in qualifying, let alone get into the race.
So that will factor into whether or not he will move on. It's going to be closer than I think he would like, even though I don't think it's necessarily super realistic that he will miss the playoffs the next round, given that he's got a pretty solid advantage. We'll see how it all plays in. Jane Therian runs 6th right now. Tommy Ryan, another playoff competitor. Colin Fambro, Rob Ackley, and then Rabel, and then Beckner way down at the bottom of the ticker here. There's John Furness, who hasn't yet laid down a lap. Here's Beckner going back to the points picture here, though, coming into the evening. Travis Beckner plus 24, so he's in pretty good shape, but you still want to have an okay night, Connor. So P13 practice, not super promising, but Beckner's had a habit of finishing better than he runs in practice and qualifying, although his last couple finishes all inside the top 10, but outside the top 5. So I think maybe that's something you could expect tonight.
He did have the win at Talladega, I believe. That's what locked him into the playoffs. I think he was going to make it anyways.
Sorry,
that was still
starting
pretty
position.
huge.
Yes.
Starting positions wise, but yes, that win was huge, and it proves huge for both those guys who are over 20 points to the good. Not only Travis Beckner, 24 to the good, but John Furness, he had 2 straight wins in a row, I believe. I think New Hampshire and Pocono back-to-back, so that proves huge for his playoff hopes. If he can advance without running a single lap tonight, those 2 wins could be huge.
Very huge, and a win would be really huge for Cameron Hearn. He almost got it done in the Truck Series on Tuesday night, but after an incident under the intermission period after the checkered flag, it got rid of his bonus point for zero incidents, and he ended up missing the cut by just 1 point in the truck playoffs. So looking to avoid that tonight. He's got the 3rd quickest time here. Mentioned that the former winner back in season 1 from this racetrack had a 2nd place finish here in Las Vegas a season ago. So it seems like Cameron Hearn has his place figured out. It's just a matter of if he can make it to the checkered flag all in one piece.
So this is a guy that if I am the 28 of John Furness, I'm very scared of, because if he wins, right now he's 12th in the standings. If he were to win this race, it would lock him in and bump everybody else down. And that's what I would be worried about if I'm John Furness, is a guy like Cameron Hearn getting it done here tonight and shifting that cut line down. If it's anybody else, if it's Elwood, if it's Scioli, I'm not going to worry too much, but certainly that 67 could throw a wrinkle into things, Connor.
And he's the biggest threat to as well. I think out of those guys below the cut line, he's the most likely to win. He's been so fast all season long. It's still surprising he's below the cut line. And Fambro's capable as well. Colin Fambro's had plenty of top 5 runs, especially at the mile and a halfs. He's been solid, so he's another guy who can get it done tonight.
Well, interested in seeing how qualifying is going to go. As mentioned, it's a bonus point for getting the pole, and if you're below the cut line, go want to try and get the fastest lap you can get out of this.
Fans, be sure to subscribe to the Area iRacing Twitch channel for only $5 a month. You can watch all Area broadcasts commercial-free. You can also use new Area iRacing emotes in the chat. You'll also earn double channel points as a subscriber that you can use to redeem for free merchandise. Cars on track here for qualifying, and this has been an interesting topic this week because a lot of drivers have driven through the field on Monday in particular, Connor, lots of comers and goers. How do you think the Xfinity car tire will handle as the track goes from day to night here?
I think it's going to be maybe a little bit harder to pass, but not too much. I still think you're going to be able to get through the field pretty quickly. This is going to be a little bit of a different race because I believe the other races were night races. We're going to start still in a little bit of daylight. There's shading in 1 and 2 already, really turn 1 in general. Wow, 64 got really sideways off of turn 2, but I think you're going to have a little bit of an easier time passing to start because of maybe a more slick track. As you see, the 64 drivers are going to be outside to really get a run for a second lap, but I think it's going to be a little easier to pass at the beginning as the tires were on the first run if we get far in our very first run. But as the lights turn on, the day turns to night, it might get a little bit more tough as the track gets more gripped up.
It seems like with the Xfinity car, this pack racing that we are used to seeing from Monday night and Tuesday night, it's probably going to be a little more spread out because this is the most challenging car, which, in my opinion, puts on the best racing.
Yeah, these cars have the most power, essentially, of the actualized power versus the Cup cars and the trucks. So I think this is going to be a fun race to watch. I think we're going to see some slipping and sliding around a little bit and drivers fighting for grip. I also think we saw multiple grooves play a little bit into the Monday race, Connor, but I think especially if you've got more power than you've got grip, you're going to see that top line, that bottom line, both be pretty competitive at different points in this race. Bottom line on restarts, top lane once you're into a run, as Brad Slaughter Jr. comes down to pit lane to 30.285, jumps up to provisional pole, and seems pretty confident that lap 1 is the lap that he's going to take the pole with.
Don't know if it was planned, but it didn't seem like he really cared to run that second lap. But yes, I think we will see maybe a little bit of a two-lane driving come into play. We might even see 3 lanes. I've seen in the past, especially in turns 1 and 2 here at Vegas, you can get that top line working, so you might have 3 lanes battling to the end if we get what we actually want. We'll have to see how the bottom lane comes in. The bumps down there, we talk about them. They are crazy, and they will throw your game off. You have to be careful going over those bumps, or else you might shoot up to the driver on your outside, and it's all over for you guys. So everyone's got to be careful of what line they choose, and they better make sure they know how to run it.
Well, the current track record is held by David Weishart at a 30.228, and see if he can best his own lap from a season ago.
Rolling up to speed now, heading down the back straightaway. This is lap number 1. And for the majority of the drivers, second lap has been faster. See if that's the case for Weishart. Out of turn 4, lap number 1. Sun is already dipping below the grandstands there on the front straightaway, 31.408, but lap 2 is going to be the money lap for him here, I think, on the progressive banks on the first end of the racetrack.
And really not lifting at all. He's only as low as 178 through turns 1 and 2 there, and it's not going to get too much faster. He's going to clip 188 into turn number 3. It's barely a lift. He's almost not even getting fully out of the throttle 100% as he gets a little bit of a wiggle out of 4, but a really solid lap here. See how far he shoots up. Time and sheet 30.235, provisional pole by half a tenth over Brad Slaughter Jr. Incredible lap.
Close to his .228 track record that he set a season ago. I'll see what Bryce Senesac can do in the 09.
Senesac is at the speed. Cameron Hearn to third with a 33.15. Scioli to second, a 32.51.
Yeah, back-to-back, just blazing laps by these guys. Senesac struggling with grip a little bit as he comes out of 4, complete his first lap. We'll see if he can do better on his second. 30.547, down the order and about 15th. So see his second lap's the money lap. A little high entering, Hunter.
A little high, but we'll see what he can do here on the second lap. A little more towards the middle, bottom groove of the track. Going to be interesting when this goes green with that sun still out. How many drivers will stick it to the top or keep it hunkered down on the bottom? Senesac going to come out of 4. Crossover on the apron and going to put up a lap time of a 30.480. Going to move him up just a bit into 13th.
Colin Fambrough went 4th quick. Good lap for a driver that needs a good night. Greg Mitchell down the back straightaway on his first flying lap. Had a real good run last week at the IMS road course. And comes out of 4 this time. We'll see where it puts him. With that good run, he was able to vault to 6th in the standings. Wouldn't call it super safe, but he's in right now, Connor, and just has to kind of have an okay night to move on.
Ooh. You'll have to see how it works out for him tonight. I don't know if he tapped the wall. Wow, really sideways out of 2. Don't know if he tapped the wall on lap 1, but time didn't count. So he's got to get a lap in here to start near the front. Really pushing, as you can see, with how sideways he got out of 2. Gets as close to the white line as he can without touching it all the way to the wall. Cuts it down just exactly when you need to. See where he comes across a 30.593. That is not going to be good. That good. Not as good as he wanted for sure. That puts him 18th.
And here he is, Mr. Swervin' Irvin. Missed him last week.
Whoa.
They don't call him Swervin' for nothing.
Starting early.
Week out. Trying to rip that Larson line there on the outside.
It's really high in 3 and 4, but if he can carry this speed, he'll have some good momentum up onto the front straightaway. Kicking off his second lap. He might have just, let's see if this lap counts, 35.76. And it will, yes, it will count. 18th place for now. We'll see what lap 2 holds for the 48. Big sideways moment in 1 and 2, Connor, and it's too much.
Oh, he's not going to save that one.
Jeff Gordon won.
Oh, man.
Ahead of it, as a matter of fact, but there goes that time. That puts him only 19th, as now we're looking at trying to see who else is qualifying. Alan Elwood's on track right now, as is AJ Roderick in the 69 machine. Roderick's in the wall as well, and hard into the wall too. Hard hits back to back as we get to Elwood. He went 13th on lap 1, but money lap's probably lap 2 for him, as he has a nice smooth exit out of turn number 4. See where he ends up, Hunter.
Seems like he's always smooth in that 49 car. On and off the track, a 30.272. Going to jump him up to third. Going to start, for the moment, in the second row. Good starting spot for the 49.
Not a bad spot at all. Tommy Ryan, their playoff competitor, getting up to speed. He's starting his qualifying effort. Really lifting big. I think he's saving some tire and going high here. Connor is setting up for that second lap, which has been the money lap for all the fast guys so far.
Someone's gonna send him the playoff banner. He doesn't have it, but all in all, he's still a playoff driver. That win he got at Atlanta a few months back, because he's another one running the way high line to get that run out of 4 to carry it on his second lap, which everyone's calling the money lap, because for him it is. But I do still believe we have some. I think Wrestler Jr.'s first lap was 4th, so you can do it on lap 1, but obviously you want to get the tires warmed up on that second lap where you really let loose, as he's going to run the middle line, not getting below that first seam. That first seam on the bottom, as he really slides it out of 2, has a little bit of grip if you hit it just right.
You get really close to that wall in corner exit turn 2. We've seen that a couple of times Monday night where drivers get too close to that wall, they clip it, and then they spin down towards the middle of the track and cause an accident. Ryan going to come across the stripe, 30.3. Going to put him right around the top 10. Going to put him at 9th spot for the 99 car.
That's all the qualifiers we will have. Logan Hartman, Matthew Cochran, of course, John Furness we mentioned, and James Coey are all not going to qualify for this race. Forrest Smith and Irvin are on track, but they have already done their set qualifying efforts, 18th to 21st for those two respectively. Qualifying is complete, and the 99 will roll to a stop, but provisional pole, well, it will be pole for David Weishart and James Scioli outside front row in that number 7, Connor, and that's a pretty stout front row between those two.
It's still so surprising Weishart didn't make the playoffs, but we know he has the speed to go out and win this race at Vegas. He's been fast in practice and really solid, obviously, in qualifying to get the pole, and Scioli's trying to go back-to-back for himself. Dominated last week, going to try to do it again on the oval, show he can do it on these ovals just as well as he does on the road course. He's got Elwood behind him as well, and I'm excited to see what Brad Slaughter Jr. can do. He's looking like he has some fast, a lot of speed as well. I'm also interested to see what happens during the race out of turn number 2. From what we've seen in practice and qualifying, Hunter, that looks to be the trouble spot.
It's been the trouble spot Monday night, and it's been the trouble spot so far for the Lodgebox cars. And here's a look at the point standings just before we go green. Not going to look like this when we're done. John Furness is not going to make it tonight to the race, so that might push him out of the bubble. Could put Cameron Hearn in if he wins. Colin Fambro might be in. Chris Rabel, Shane Therian, they might be on their way out. It's Vegas. You got to roll the dice, take your risk, and we're going to get our starting lineup here, Kyle.
Yeah, just a moment here before the warm-up period, or after the warm-up period ends. Before we get down to a Roasted Gems Coffee starting lineup, though, we'd like to remind you that you should visit Roasted Gems Coffee for some of the finest coffee from all over the world. Use discount code AREA iRacing for 10% off your order at roastedgems.com. We'll get through our Roasted Gems starting lineup here in just a couple of moments when the warm-up period finishes up, but just want to keep an eye on that 67 to Cameron Hearn, because Connor, as we've seen in moments of desperation, drivers will do pretty much anything. Hearn was just short on Tuesday and didn't make it. We'll see if he has learned something from Tuesday and if he can come back, but he knows what needs to be done because he almost did it earlier this week.
He's still got to be careful. You can't risk it too much and throw yourself completely out of equation. You get any sort of damage, your chance to win is kind of done. If you get damage at 1.5 miles, aerodynamics so important. He's got to play it a little bit smart. He's got to know when the time comes, he can go push it, but he has to be a little bit more patient tonight and not make the same mistakes.
For those making mistakes, I would keep an eye on Rabel and Therian. They don't really have much of a cushion at all to have a mistake or have a misfortune in tonight's race. So I'd keep an eye on those two, and who knows, maybe Garrett Grant can sneak his way in. He got a 11th place finish here, but see if he can do a little bit better on that and possibly lock himself into the next round.
So tonight's event, of course, is our final race of the first round of the playoffs. It's 130 laps from nose to tail in this race, and with a field of about 28 cars. Connor, we've actually seen a lot of green flag racing here this week, so I think we're going to see a lot of green flag pit stops and some strategy playing into this. Tell me about the challenges of pitting here at Las Vegas. That pit entry in particular can be pretty challenging.
It's not fun at all, I'll say that, especially doing it a lot in Road to Pro because they go here a lot. The transition's pretty steep. It doesn't look that bad, but the banking compared to the apron, very different. It could upset your car, especially when you're coming out of the corner. It'll really upset your vehicle to the point where it might jerk you all the way sideways, pointing to the inside wall. So you got to be ready. You can't really go with too much rear brake or else it'll just get pretty much fully spin you around. So you got to be ready to get on the binders. You got to know your marks, and you got to be ready for that transition because it will bite you if you're not ready for that transition.
Quick look at the weather. Sorry, Hunter. I was
gonna say we saw with Brad Slaughter on his second lap. He aborted it and tried to slow down to pit speed and locked up the tires pretty bad.
There's your look at your weather. 67 in the air, 69 at the track. And you see that temperature dropping to meet ambient. That's what we're expecting to see. The sun is already below the grandstands. The track is in shade. It was not in qualifying in practice, so we're going to see that track temp fall just a little bit further. Time to go through our Roasted Gems Coffee starting lineup on row number 1. Kicking things off, non-playoff driver, a wild card in this one. David Wise starts number 33. James Scioli starts alongside him on the outside of the front row in second.
And then row number 2, Alan Elwood, who's been a dominating force all year, starts third. Brad Slaughter Jr. in a DBC podcast Camaro, he starts alongside him in the 4th position.
Row 3 is the number 18 to Colin Fambro, the GoPro Chevy. Cameron Hearn on the last spot, or one of the last spots in the playoffs right now. Could he win and automatically transfer to round number 2 of the playoffs? He starts 6th.
6th place, 7 points back. He needs a good night tonight. Then a row behind him, Garrett Grant, who also needs a good night. Got a really good qualifying effort tonight, starting 7th. Alongside him, another driver needs a good night behind the cut line as well. Rob Ackley in the 14 starts 8th.
9th place is Tommy Ryan in the 99, playoff competitor. Justin Munsell, no playoffs for him. He starts 10th in the number 20.
Chris Sherwood had on strategy last week. It kind of bit him at the very end of the race. We'll see if he does better this week. He starts 11th alongside Shane Therian, who starts 12th after fighting his way above the cut line last week.
13th place is A.J. Roderick in the number 69. Ricky Harden starts 14th in the number 15 car.
Probably the most safe driver without actually being safe is Travis Beckner, 24 to the good. Thanks to his win at Talladega, he starts 15th alongside him. The 09 of Bryce Senesac in 16th.
Jeff Ryan has not yet taken the grid, so he will start from the pits if he starts at all. Forrest Smith, 18th in the 84.
Ed Robertson in 64, a little bit of a struggle in practice, but got it together in qualifying. He starts 19th alongside him. The one machine of Steve Durham, the Mustang himself in 20th.
21st place, Paul Irvin's number 48. Greg Mitchell starts 22nd in the number 2.
See if Mitchell's going to have another solid run like he did last week. He's got work to do, but the row behind him, the 54 machine, the HyperX Supra, Ryan Swan, and the 96 of Jacob Hudson, another Supra starting 24.
Mike Tallier starts 25th in the 47. John Furness will earn 16 points tonight. He starts 28th. 26th, excuse me.
The final few drivers in the field, Matthew Cochran in the 4, the Bass Pro Shops Camaro, ever recognizable. James Coey in the 24, the Ryco Camaro, and then Logan Hartman, another driver who did not take the grid. So I believe maybe 26 or 27 drivers who will take the green flag here.
Hunter, real quick, who you got winning this thing?
I got Cameron Hearn winning tonight.
All right, I'm going to go with Cameron Hearn as well. I think he gets it done. Hunter, Connor, who you got?
Alan Elwood, I think he's poised tonight. I think he's got it on lock.
Quick look at our race analysis, 130 laps, it's about 196 miles or so, 29 drivers going for it. Playoff time from Las Vegas Motor Speedway. We decide our next round of drivers, the 8 that will move on in the Area Lodgebox Series. Green flag flies, and we're racing in Sin City. Three wide in the back as they come out of turn 4 for the first lap. Weishart leads, but not by much over Scioli and Elwood.
Yeah, 2 of the fastest drivers of the season breathing down his neck, and he's trying to pick which lane he wants. He's going to go bottom, but look how much of a run Scioli has in the middle. He's going to clear him almost no problem on the middle lane.
Well, I don't think Weishart minds that at all. He's his own driver, passing him. So a win is 5 bonus points, which could help Scioli in the next round. Already locked in with his win last week. Here's a little further back, Ackley and Grant going at it for the 7th spot. Meanwhile, they are almost hitting the wall back there. That's the 99 of Ryan.
But that told me that move in turns 1 and 2, Connor, is how much grip there already is on that outside lane. Skyley just took it and ran and has established a half-second lead at the tail end of lap 2, so he is on it right now. And behind him, everyone again acclimating to these faster cars. There's some cars tangling there. There's James Coey in the 24.
Trying to see what happened there. I think in contact with the 47, but they were able to save it, no problem there, as these drivers try to get acclimated at the rear of the field. Greg Mitchell just barely got by that, still trying to climb up through the field. He's very far back. Surprising he started that far back, but look at this hornet's nest, including Swerve and Irvin, Ed Robertson, among others. A lot of fast drivers in this mess right now, including Shane Therian.
Whoa, that's tight between Ryan and Roderick. Therian there, Robertson there as well, and don't mention you got Swerve and Irvin there looking to. Well, I thought he was going to make it 3 wide, backing off a little bit, but it is indeed a hornet's nest back here.
And they're all single file ahead of them, so it's really just this group that needs to get sorted. The 64 pushing the 99 down the front straightaway into turn 1. I could see us going green for a long time, boys, if they can just get themselves sorted out here. They'll get into a nice long green flag run and then let strategy play out.
Very wiggly off of turn 2. That's the trouble spot. Left to look for incidents over there. Almost already had one. I'm interested to see what happens at the front of the field as well. Look at Irvin running away top line. I'm interested to see what happens to Skyoli's tires. He's going 0.2 per lap faster than anyone else as they squeeze 3 wide out of turn number 4 with Irvin and Robertson just about. Robertson backs out, but interested to see what the tires, how the tires hold up for the 7 as the 38 Therian forces it 3 wide.
Yeah, Therian looking down low. He's dropping back quite a bit, but just trying to stop the bleeding at that point.
Into turn 3, still flying formation here. The 48 goes way high. We saw him do this in qualifying. Man, slowly but surely we're starting to get them. I guess you could consider this sorted out compared to where they were a lap or 2 ago.
I wouldn't, but I'll take your word for it. I don't think that top line's going to work. There's too much grip. They're really not lifting that much, and that's why the 48 of Irvin's just not getting that big of a run, especially out of turn 4. Works out of turn 2 a lot better that time, though. He's got a little drop from AJ Roderick, the 69 machine. Top lane kind of moving. Still trying to get to the outside of the 69, though, but just not getting enough speed and enough rotation through the center of 3 and 4. He's going to push to 69 down the front stretch.
Really got nowhere to go other than just to give the momentum to Roderick. Unless he really wants to throw it in, make it 3 wide, get a big enough run to do so, but Ryan behind all this in the 15th spot.
It's gone backwards here early, dropped 6 positions in the first 8 laps. Not going the right direction. And Cameron Hearn in the 67 car has taken his Chevrolet up 2 spots. But let me tell you, that is still being fiercely fought back there from Beckner on back.
Yeah, Beckner and see who's that is Garrett Grant. They've been door to door for a while. Look at the run Roderick has in the middle. Him and Paul Irvin. I've never seen tandem at Las Vegas, but if I ever did see it, that's probably the closest we are going to get to it. The 48-69 hooking up right now is we're single file from 1st to 8th. But after that, still a hornet's nest for the entire 10-lap period we've had so far. The 48 so close to getting to the outside of AJ Roderick. I think he finally has his right rear quarter panel as they're still 2x2, almost 4 rows deep.
Gonna hurt a good bit of these drivers' tires if they're still going side by side, trying to get one up on the other car to their inside or outside, especially Paul Irvin with how close he's been to the wall early on and right on cue. He might have just given it a little kiss there coming out of 2, and he's got the run on the outside.
Here's the advantage. Scioli has 2.3 seconds. He has just set sail. He's halfway to California after leaving Las Vegas 10 laps ago.
We'll see what the tires look like in about 15 to 20 laps time. Irvin did get the right rear quarter panel. We'll see if that damage affects him badly, but still not really hurting his hunger. He's still fighting for that 9th position with the 69 of Roderick, as those two have both made up positions on that outside line. Irvin is up about 11 spots, about to maybe lose one to Bryce Senesac, who's looking on the inside.
Irvin still mustering that ground on the outside. Ed Robertson trying to take a spot away from Garrett Grant, although Grant looking to the inside, trying to get all that he can, trying to advance into the next round. Entered -4 for the cutoff heading into tonight, so Grant wanted to stop the bleeding just a little bit.
Let's go back and have a look at that issue that happened on lap number 3 rather. Here's the 24, James Coe, and the 24 to the outside of Mike Tellier. It just comes down the track there a little bit, and that's where they make contact, and they carry on without a whole lot of more trouble there, Connor, but that was still a scary moment.
It looked like Coe got loose, and Tellier really had nowhere to go. He tried lifting for him, but slight contact was made. Really didn't hurt anyone other than just losing them a little bit of track position, as they still have some work to do to get back to that pack. But if I was Tellier or Coe, I would say I would find where I am, single file, not 2x2, not in the pack like it's Talladega. I'm fine right now.
Got all the action going on in front of you. Don't want to be anywhere near that. Want to certainly stay as far away from that as possible. As riding in the car here with Garrett Graham, looking to the inside, outside. He's got a car looking to the outside. That is Forrest Smith in the 84. Doesn't have a big enough run there, but gonna hunker down in the middle, try to see what he can make out of this. Oh, he's got cars all over him. This is that is the middle of the Hornets nest right there. That's where Garrett Grant's it.
I'm claustrophobic right now watching this battle.
Maybe claustrophobic as a race car driver. You just gotta kind of stick your nose in there, and that's what Grant's doing right now. Irvin, you can already see that top line's taking an effect on him. He got really sideways through 4, and now Ed Robertson's all over the back of the Amp Energy number 48.
Look at the 5. Garrett Grant takes a look at the 48 of Swerve and Irvin. Irvin drove in there deep because he saw it, the move coming. Slides up the road. Here comes Robertson looking middle now.
Irvin's struggling out of the corners. Robertson lifted for him. That's going to let Garrett Grant by. It might let Tommy Ryan by as well. And look at Shane Therian taking it 3 wide again. He wants to go. There might not be enough room. They're not given too much room. Ricky Hardin's going to be the big loser on the outside through all that. And Therian making up spots, but probably not as fast as he wants to. Same thing for Greg Mitchell.
No, it just seems like he cannot get the car going in the right direction. It's just kind of stagnant over there right around the 17th spot. Just nothing he can do. See if any caution or any pit stops can change that.
Out front, Scioli leads. Here's a look at his last lap, a 31.644. Have a look behind him in second place, Weishart at 31.453, Connor. So that tells me that Scioli lit the fuse on the Goodyears, and now the spark is getting to the bomb here.
You go all the way back to 8th place Travis Beckner. Even Beckner was faster than Scioli last time by, so we'll see if he did cook the tires or now he's just finally trying to save. A 7.49 for Scioli to Weishart's 5.67. I think that's going to cost him. Maybe he was anticipating a quick yellow flag to get a fresh set of tires under yellow, but it hasn't happened quite yet. And it's more unlikely to happen the more that back of the pack sorts out. They are still racing pretty hard. Robertson and Hardin going to go side by side. Mitchell, Paul Irvin as well.
Yeah, Senesac as well was up on that outside as looking a little further in the back here. Forrest Smith, 84. Ryan Swan, 54. Right on board with Forrest, trying to navigate his way back up to where he started in the 18th spot. Falling back a little bit, but I'm going to try. Nope. I'll better of it. Thought he was going to make it 3 wide. He's going to keep her hunkered down on the bottom.
They're just on the cusp of getting the field spread out enough that I think we could go. There they are. The 14. Ackley slams the wall. The 99 isn't it 2? They stay green for now. There's the caution flag. And 2 playoff competitors with huge damage and likely terminal for the 14 of Rob Ackley. That car is destroyed.
Car is destroyed, and probably his playoff hopes. He was already behind the cut line, so it's going to be very, very costly for him. Ryan's 14 to the good, so it's not over him, but Ackley needed a good run with a clean car to see what happened. I believe that was Senesac who hit the wall, and there's that opening. Again, Ackley hit it square on. I think Tommy Ryan just barely missed it.
He hit the Gordman spot, and I was going to say, it looked like Munsell might have gotten a little bit involved in that. But
yeah.
Senesac just bouncing off the wall and right into 2 playoff drivers. Did not want to see that happen, especially Rob Ackley.
On board with Tommy Ryan. You see that pinch right there from the 20. The 09 had to get out of the throttle. He lost the nose there, Connor. He just had this big arrow push moment following the 09, or following the 20. Just watch how, he's going to make a little bit of contact, but he loses the nose right here. And has to back out. It's already too late.
Yeah, that's a really tough situation. That's really hard racing for lap 19 of a 130-lap race. Munsell probably didn't mean to come up, but he fired it in there to try to make the pass, couldn't make the pass, and it was too late to get out of the 09's way, and it just forced him into the wall. Very tough situation as the rest of the field will come down pit road. I'm sure James Scaroli is happy he gets to yellow. He was probably racing for, so he will be able to get fresh tires and maybe not push as hard, but he's still going to lose the lead to David Weishart on pit road.
Colin Fambro also a little bit excited to see that, under 3 points out with the damage on the 99 of Ryan. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to continue, and if he does, certainly not going to be at a race-winning pace there, but stays out, leads a lap. That's going to be good for him. Going to get a bonus point there, and that's going to pay crucial dividends here once the checker flag flies.
He rolled down pit lane, but didn't stop. That was a little strange. I'm sure we'll see him come in now. Yeah, so with that, with Ackley having big-time issues too, that's going to alleviate a little bit of John Furness's concern, Connor, but I think John Furness would like to see a lot more drivers have a similar fate here to really feel confident he can move on without being here.
He might not get a situation like that again, but we will have to wait and see. I really think Fambro just missed a stall, so he will come down. He probably won't get a bonus point. I think Weishart will get by him for the time being, but yeah, Furness will definitely maybe be a little bit easier, but I would not say he is 100% safe as well, because he's still got guys like Cameron Hearn, who are showing a lot of speed as well. But even still, the guy who's been dominant is James Scaroli. But like I did talk about, David Weishart did get the lead on pit stops there.
Yeah, kept the lead right back. Well, actually, no, you were right. He did take the lead away from Scioli, but with how fast Scioli took the lead on the initial start, wouldn't surprise me if he does the same thing here, especially the 33 restarts on the bottom. We saw how fast that server was on the outside. I'm not sure if it's going to be the same here with the sun setting, but got Elwood up in there, and you got Cameron Hearn in the mix as well. Going to bunch everyone up back. And look at AJ Roderick moving up to 7th on the board.
Lights are on here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, and the 14 of Rob Ackley, unsurprisingly, has retired that car. And that damage was far too significant to repair. That was a direct impact with a concrete wall at about 85, 90 miles an hour nose on. So that's it. He's out. That's where the season championship run ends for the 14, Connor.
And we have, unfortunately, our first elimination, which is a shame because it really was something completely out of his control. Same thing for Tommy Ryan, but fortunately for Ryan, he's in a better situation points-wise, and Rob Ackley did not have that luxury. So unfortunate racing incident with nowhere to go ends Rob Ackley's chances, and we have 1 elimination down and 3 more to go.
And the admins up in the hauler, Jordan Martin and our very own Eric Weiland, have deemed that racing incident, so no one will get a penalty for that. But those that were involved, already big enough penalty with damage done to their cars.
I'd agree with that. Didn't see anything malicious there. Just 2 drivers going for it, and it kind of ended up in the same place at the same time. Nobody really did anything in particular very wrong. Just what stings about situations like that, Connor, is the 2 guys that kind of got together to start the incident were not the guys that had the most to risk by having that incident.
Yeah, not at all. Bryce Senesek definitely got away with it. Munsell, he does have rear end damage, but compared to Ackley's car, he will be fine. And obviously Munsell's okay as well. Just a little bit too hard of racing on lap 20. Munsell, like I said, probably fired in too hard. He almost stacked up at the back, fired in a little bit too hard, and just could not get out of the way of Senesek in time. So that stuff happens, especially out of a corner at a fast track like Las Vegas, where the corner exit comes up so quickly, and so does that outside wall. Those types of things can just happen.
Field rolls through turns 3 and 4. David Weishart started on pole and didn't even really get a chance to lead earlier. The only laps he's led are the ones under this caution because Scioli drove around him on the outside. Weishart uses the upper groove for the restart. And we're coming back to the start-finish line, working lap number 24. 1 caution underneath us. Ackley and Ryan collected in an incident at turn 2, back underway from Las Vegas.
Be able to get clear of the race lead, really getting in line for a few of those guys. I think Weishart saw the run Skylerly got in the middle lane, and he's thinking, well, you're not getting that through turns 1 and 2, but Weishart's giving him the top lane through 3 and 4. He's going to lead one more lap here, but we'll see how aggressive Skylerly wants to be to get the lead back, to build that lead back up.
And we'll see how aggressive the team owner is. That David Weishart and his driver going to the outside once again, taking the lead like nothing ever happened. James Skylerly going to clear him coming out of 2 and down the back. Alan Elwood has his eyes set on Weishart, trying to reel him in to go into 3.
Cameron Hearn up to 4th place, guys. Good pace in practice. I think what concerns me is how fast the 7 is tonight. We'll see if Cameron Hearn can match the pace, but I do think the 67 might be better in the long run. I think most people will be better than the 7 in the long run based on how fast Skylerly shoots off. Here's Elwood up to the high side now in 1 and 2.
Well, we saw Skylerly got about a 2.4 second lead, and then he just started giving that time right back. So if we get a long run, it's going to hurt him a little bit, but the long run might be a little bit shorter, or it might be longer depending on where the yellow fell in the tire, the fuel strategy, but we'll see what Skylerly wants to do this time. Didn't pull away as quickly in these few laps as Alan Elwood gets the second over the 33 David Weishart. We'll see if Skylerly wants to go a different route with his tire saving this time.
Yeah, and right now the top 2 are the only 2 that are locked in with no worries about next week or the next round of the postseason. A little further back, their teammate of Elwood, Shane Therian, is. He's up in the 8th spot right now, right behind Garrett Grant, and right behind him is the cookie crumble car of Justin Munsell with a little incidente there with that most recent caution. Certainly want to keep him in his rear view, as on the apron it looked like Cameron Hearn trying to fend off Travis Beckner from catching up to his bumper.
Yeah, Hearn and Beckner, where have we seen this before? But
where haven't we seen this before?
or Hearn versus Skylerly. We've seen that a handful of times up towards the front of the field. Ryan Swan, by the way, let's bring some attention to the 54. This is his 100th start here this evening in the Area Series.
Yeah, trying to get a good run to go along with it. In 13th for the time being. It's way up from his starting position in 23rd, so he's moving methodically through this order, and he's hoping to get, I would hope he's looking for a top 10 tonight to cap off this 100th start. He's looking to be inside of Ricky Harden right now. As Harden sideways. Greg Mitchell just went way up the track. Actually, no, that was Mike Tellier, but looks like the 54 is looking for a strong run tonight.
And, looked like another strong run being had by Brad Slaughter, taking the spot away from Travis Beckner. Certainly had the speed, top 5 speed underneath that door bumper clear number 81, but looking to go a little further up on the scoring board. But for now, it's still Skylerly leading by about half a second over Alan Elwood.
Brad Slaughter, I feel like he never gets the results that his pace deserves. And I wonder if tonight will be any different. Running 5th right now and actually closing in on Cameron Hearn for 4th. Meanwhile, Skylerly is still edging out ahead of Alan Elwood at 0.6 of a second. But he's not sprinting out, he's just kind of stepping out to an advantage. Elwood was only a 10th off that time through.
Yeah, Skylerly built up a 2-second lead in 10 laps, and the way it's going, he's not going to get even close to that. Hopefully, I would hope, or I would think, that he's trying to save the tires a little bit better so he doesn't give 2 tenths per lap back once the tires go out. We'll have to see how much different he's actually driving, and he does have another driver, a different driver in 2nd place in Elwood, so we'll see if that plays into how he drives his car for this run.
And there's the crumble cookie car again. Justin Munsell riding on board with him, closing in on Therian. Going to look to the outside now. Not going to have enough momentum there to stay alongside of him, but going to run that middle lane through 1 and 2. He's going to get a big run off the corner here. As long as he doesn't get on the wall, he's going to have that spot. He's got the momentum for it down the back.
Well planned and well played. Justin Munsell goes to the high side here, around the outside of Shane Therian's 38. And just behind him, some spots still being hotly contested. They've sorted themselves out, so I think we'll watch the Therian and Munsell battle continue. Therian back in behind the 20 now in 9th place.
Rabel, see what Rabel does here. I'm looking at him, only 3 to the good coming in tonight. He was one who was definitely probably the most nervous out of anyone, being only 3 above the cut line. He was 3 points specifically above Colin Fambro, and Fambro is still fighting his way back after missing his stall. He's down at 16th, so for the time being, Rabel's outpointing the 18, and that would put him 1 spot above.
Slaughter passed the 67 of Hearn again, so this Hearn-Beckner battle will continue. Slaughter trying to catch up to Weishart, was closer enough to him the last lap, but got a little loose and lost the grip there. You see him there just working that middle groove. I gotta wonder how much longer he's going to be able to do that on those tires before they slowly go away.
I think Brad Slaughter Jr. is kind of doing what Scioli was doing, just a little bit more time controlled. That upper groove is so much faster that if you can really utilize that without burning up your tires, you're going to be in the best spot possible.
Yeah, Scioli might already be falling off a little bit, or Alan Elwood's trying to turn up the wicker a little bit. He's about close to a tenth faster than Scioli last time by, not quite. The lead got to about 1.1 seconds, but here comes Brad Slaughter looking for that third position on Weishart, as the gap for the lead is about only 7/10 right now, as Slaughter Jr. gets that pass for the third position done. Really no problem. Weishart let him go a little easy.
Probably heard door bumper clear there for the 81 of Slaughter, and bumper.
Bumper.
Now door, it's the reverse order.
I would get tired of that spotting very quickly.
Down the back straightaway, 36 laps into our 130 lap event. It is flying by, guys. 49 minutes from here to the checkers, which means that in 20 minutes, we're 20 minutes to the end, basically. And that's when I kind of mark that we're almost done. We're just, the fervent pace of green flag racing never ceases to amaze me. And now that we've kind of gotten into this run, we could see some longer green flag runs and green flag pit stops and all the strategies that come with that. So you're going to be thinking about when you hit pit lane again. I could expect 45-ish laps perhaps. We're 16 laps into the stint, so maybe laps 65 to 70, Connor, might see some pit stops.
Yeah, these guys pit around lap 20, so it'll leave about 110 laps to go. So maybe around lap 75, we'd start seeing these guys maybe take out pit stops a little bit before, a little bit after, possibly. I've seen David Weishart as a driver in the past, a guy who usually pits early and goes off sequence a lot, so maybe we'll see him in the 65 range, and someone like Elwood or Scioli go a long way, maybe go closer to lap 80. So I would say 65 to 80 is around the range we'll see drivers pit. It should be a one-stop, no doubt, from here, that's for sure.
A little further back here, playoff driver Greg Mitchell running right around the back where battling for Smith there for the 16th spot. Going to take that over. Smith going to try and cross him over. Can't seem to quite get a big enough run to his outside, but Mitchell on the move, started deep in 20 seconds, worked his way quietly to 16th. Looking for a few more spots there. And then right in front of him, Colin Fambro is the first driver on the outside of the cutoff heading into tonight. So he was up front, but had a miscue on pit road, and now he's got to work his way back inside the top 10 after that mishap.
Not particularly amazing runs for either of those two drivers tonight, and they're going to benefit from Tommy Ryan and Rob Ackley having some pretty poor nights, as well as potentially that 28 car not being here. That could certainly change how things factor in here towards the end of this race. Brad Slaughter Jr. is running down Alan Elwood. This 81 has got some pace with him. He's dragged the 33 along with him, though, Connor, so it's not just the 81 making speed right now.
Yeah, Slaughter Jr. got by Weishart, and Weishart's kind of following him through. I think that's probably Weishart's mentality. Let him use up the tires a little bit more, make the passes for me. I'm sure that's what he's hoping Brad Slaughter Jr. does if he does go for the pass on Alan Elwood. Weishart's actually going to go to the bottom because Slaughter is running that middle line. He's going to let Slaughter get the run off. He's not going to let him. He has no choice. But Elwood still looking pretty strong. I don't think Slaughter's going to have a challenge for him just yet. They are still both about half a second within leader Scioli. Scioli, like you said, didn't sprint away this time, but the gap got up to about a second. Now it's down to about half a second. It's kind of standing there for the time being. Elwood and Scioli trading laps, almost thousandths apart at most points. But that time by, Elwood bit about half a tenth out.
And then back here, they're still going at it for the 8th spot. Therian Ross and in front of the door, or in front of the bumper, the 20 of Munsell. It's kind of just been going at it back and forth the last handful of laps or so. Chris Rabel, the next car behind, 10th spot. Another playoff driver. He's got an okay situation going on with him right now. And speaking of that, there's Colin Fambro moving up a couple spots, passing Ryan Swan, Ed Robertson.
Fambro up to 13th place. And right now, Chris Rabel in the 29 is just outdoing the 18 by 4 points, Connor. So that's the tight battle, the 29 and the 18.
Yeah, right now it's a battle between those two for sure. Rabel would have him by 1 point right now, but we are going to have to factor in Tommy Ryan, lap down, 25th place. Right now, Rabel's outpointing him by about 15. That's enough to pass him. But it's not enough for Fambro to pass him. So really, the battle's still between Rabel and Fambro, but if Tommy Ryan can't get a caution, get on the lead lap, prepare his car a little bit more, he is in danger. I thought 14 he'd be okay, but these playoff drivers are running well enough where he is really not in a good spot. Obviously not in a good spot anyways because of his damage. As we look at this battle for third again, swapping positions, Weishart and Slaughter.
I think in a few laps we'll pan the camera a little closer towards the front because Elwood once again closing in on Scioli. You saw him right there in the picture. Top four within a second of each other. That's just how close these guys are running. And Cameron Hearn, Travis Beckner still bumper to bumper with Garrett Grant right behind. Not too far back, top seven, all within a second and a half of each other.
Yeah, it's all kind of coordinating back together here. Here comes the 27. A little bit of a bump maybe to the back of the 67 as they head down the back straightaway into turn 3. And Beckner and Hearn, real tight quarters here in turns 3 and 4, Connor.
It was definitely a bump out of turn number 2, and Cameron Hearn probably didn't appreciate it. Didn't give him much room to work with there, as Hearn able to hold on for now to the 5th position, and Travis Beckner making sure he defends Garrett Grant for the 6th position. Grant, this is a run he sort of needed. He came in below the cut line. He needs these points right now. He came in 4 behind Chris Rabel, outpointing him, outrunning him by 3 positions, so still not quite enough. This position's pretty huge, still a long way to go, and we know to wait until after the checkered flag for points. But he needs any position he can get. This is the run he needed.
On board with the 49 of Elwood. Boy, he is closing in on that bumper. Trying to get all he can out of that number 49. As mentioned, he's the only one locked in for next week, for the next round of the postseason on points. So
yes. I was going to say, and the 7 with the win from last week, but you got that covered. We're closing on lap number 50 of 130, and James Scioli has been leading a whole bunch of laps. And Connor, this would worry me if I'm a driver that wants a whole bunch of points. Cameron Hearn, for example. I would want to be up there leading laps and be able to claim the most laps led number, but Scioli is very quickly making that a very difficult task.
Yeah, he's going to have to get up there for pretty quickly, excuse me, because if he keeps leading by the time we get the pit stops, he might already have that most laps led mark done and over with if no one else can pass him. And looking up ahead of Scioli, this is almost potentially Tommy Ryan's playoff hopes going down the drain. What's going down the drain for sure is his chances to get back in this race possibly. This would put him 2 laps down, and it's just that close. He needs something to happen, but everything's pretty orderly for the time being, so not looking good for the 99.
Going to be an obstacle for some, but going to stay out of the way for the most part. Definitely going to get a little bit of dirty air there underneath the 7 Scioli. Might close in for Alan Elwood. Might be a good thing for him that he's encountering this lap car.
He's down about 10 miles an hour on the straightaways, which is, in my view, catastrophic damage at a track that you carry so much speed. So this 99 really needs this race to get messy. It just has not really been so far. So he's in real trouble, the fact that he's running that far down the order.
And 2 laps down is already bad, but he is at least the only driver a lap down for now. Besides Jeff Ryan, he did get back in the race, but he is 6 laps down. Next driver is pretty far up the road still, Matthew Cochran. He goes a lap down and we get a yellow. It is definitely over for Tommy Ryan. He needs something to happen, but unfortunately the only thing that's happened is to himself. But meanwhile at the front, we do have things happening because Alan Elwood has finally got the back of the 7 machine. David Weishart's there as well for the race lead.
3 cars, 3/10 apart, all battling for 1 spot. Weishart looking down low. Elwood with the run on the outside, just going to follow the tire tracks of Scioli. Might get a little bit of a better exit than the 7. And you see the rest of the field working their way around Tommy Ryan, the lap car. But top 3, all close quarters racing here.
7, 49, 33. That's the order now. We'll put him in a coffee can, shake him up, see who pops out the other side. Scioli. Maybe that's a Roasted Gems coffee can, by the way. Scioli into turn 1 and doing a good job. He's not falling off as much as I would have thought, Connor, based on how fast he was at the beginning of these runs. He's not getting blown by, but I think Elwood and Weishart are eventually going to get around him here.
I think if that first run went green, he would have definitely got blown by. He changed up his approach a little bit. He still drove hard at the beginning, but not as hard to the point where he was going to blow a right front tire. It was that hard. That's how hard he was driving, but he changed up a little bit. and he might have a chance to potentially defend. John Furness did just connect the session, so we'll see if he can put down some laps. Interested in that for sure, but right now Skyler doing a good job kind of holding his line. If he runs the middle, especially through 1 and 2, it will still be pretty hard to run him down and make that pass on the bottom.
That could be huge if Furness can connect, run some laps, and then just, I guess, park it. We got, there's Garrett Grant looking for as many points as he can, trying to get around Beckner. That's going to be a point for the 5 if he can get around him. Every point is worth so much more, especially when you're on the outside looking in. Garrett Grant, solid run so far. He's been inside the top 10 a good portion of the night. Just trying to cruise on and well, he might have a run here on Beckner. He had to check up a little bit, but it's definitely applying pressure to the 27.
He was loose through 1 and 2. Connor, you heard it, the tires skidding. But he got back to the throttle and actually managed to carry some really good speed there. And side by side at a turn 4, battle for 6th is on.
Tell you what, Beckner's probably a little upset. Obviously, it's racing, but he was about to pass Cameron Hearn, and Garrett Grant stuck his nose into this battle, and the 67 Hearn has kind of driven away from those two. Garrett Grant a good run on the bottom, but those bumps really hindering him, sliding up the racetrack, not making contact. Good hard racing. 27 should have him back cleared, but we'll see if Grant wants to stick the nose in. Really fires it into turn number 3. I thought it was going to be a slide job, but I think, Beckner let him by there because I think he could have driven it in a little bit harder if he wanted to defend more, but that's a big point for Garrett Grant that puts him 4 positions above Chris Rabel. I believe that ties those two on points.
I think Beckner was trying to cross him over on the front stretch, but didn't have a strong enough run to do so that he initially thought he was going to have. It's all music to the ears of Shane Theorin, especially if those two do make contact, because that's going to be helpful for him. And also helpful is John Furness out on the track, going to make some laps. I don't know how many laps he's going to make, but as long as he can run a few, not hit anything, and then if he parks it, that's going to be a bonus point for him, not having any incident points.
That could be a pretty critical point. And all the math and calculus is set aside at the end of the night. You look at the singular points throughout the season that would put you in the spot to move on, and John Furness is going to be picking up one of those this time through.
And he can stay on track. If he can stay on track for about 20 laps, he can pass Rob Ackley, would give him 1 more point, which could be crucial. Jeff Ryan 6 laps down. Tommy Ryan's probably not going to park it. I would highly doubt it. He almost got into Ryan Swan through turn 3, but for now only 1 position that Furness can get, but like you're talking about, that 1 point could be very, very important.
And Tom DeLeo just put in our Twitch chat, Undertaker gif, where the Undertaker rises from the dead. That is John Furness right now.
Working our way towards lap number 60, and I'm starting to think about when we hit road, guys, because I don't think you can make it to the end on necessarily one more stop. So you're going to, 60 lap, yeah, too far. So I think you're going to make a pit stop here and then maybe split the race in half from there on out. We'll see what kind of pit situation drivers are looking at here shortly.
I would think they can make it on one stop. They pit around lap 20. They can make it to 75.
Oh, they can go that far? So they
100% fuel tank. I would think they can make it that far, but we will have to see. I feel like if you wanted to 1-stop it, you would be putting around now, but here comes Brad Slaughter Jr. Maybe that isn't the case. Maybe the 2-stop is the way, as Slaughter Jr. is the first of the front runners and really the first driver in general to hit pit lane.
Well, he's not running for anything other than a win. Got no playoff points, no nothing here in the Lodgebox series, but he's the first one to bite the bullet and see what he does on pit road. And speaking of biting the bullet, here comes Elwood down to the bottom. Dead even going in. Oh, had to back off a little bit, but battle for the lead definitely heating up as some guys make pit stops.
Brad Slaughter Jr., the only taker so far.
Here comes Munsell.
Now Justin Munsell. So, yeah, this is what I figured. We go to lap 65, lap 70, and then you kind of split it into 2 30-lap runs from there maybe. But either way, I think that's what the strategy will likely be. Will anybody try something different? Who knows? Weishart really pushed out of turn 2 that time by. But Elwood is pressuring Scioli more than he has. But to Scioli's credit, he shot out of a cannon at the beginning of the run, and now he's hanging on pretty tough. He's almost made it through a full fuel run.
It's almost a good thing that it is a good thing that first yellow came out, because he would have been blown by and probably maybe barely in the top 5, if not outside the top 5, if it went green with how much he wore those tires out. So that yellow really helped him maintain this gap this time through. He knew a little bit more about how to save these tires. And oh, Cochran in the wall right in front of all three of the race leaders. That was insanely close.
Bad. See here on our Simrat Market replay, especially as close as he was, and right there, turn 2, trying to get out of the leader's way. Whoa, really close there for Weishart.
On board with the 33. Let's see what he sees. Let's go down on the roll bar level here, more what the driver's eye would see. Again, we're sitting further to the right, but whoa.
Not what I want to see coming up on lap traffic. Not what I want to see, especially when I'm behind drivers and can really can't see what's going on until they're right in front of you. But they got by it all good, no harm, no foul, as these top three are still battling it out. Scioli had to get out of the gas a little bit out of turn 4 to 49. Pretty big run.
All over the bumper. Definitely has a little more breathing room now that Weishart is a little bit ways behind than in previous laps, but outside run coming in for Elwood. Oh, looked a little loose there. Not enough there to get alongside the 7.
Rear end had its own mind there, kind of walked out on him, but he gathered it up. He did lose some ground, a couple car lengths through the 7. Looking lap 65 this time through. Next time by is halfway, guys. And Scioli very quickly getting to the point where he's going to lock down the most laps led, and nobody else will be able to take that crown. I think he's already locked it, actually, because I think Elwood, no, Weishart has led 5 laps. So, yeah, so Scioli locks it this time through.
Well, I think he'll definitely lock it up once he gets to halfway. Actually, no, doing the
mathematically, no one else. Well, okay.
Other than Weishart.
Weishart, I guess, could do it.
But it's probably not going to happen.
Probably not going to happen.
It's a little far back, so that's big for Scioli to get that bonus point. No one else really can. 49 still wants to win. Obviously, he don't give any you-know-what's about bonus points. He's trying to steal this one away. Top 2 all season long. They've been favored in almost every other race. And these two, it's pretty likely it might come down to these two for the championship, and this might just be a little bit of a prequel between these two right now, side by side for the race lead.
Elwood on the bottom, his teammate's Therian. Scioli on the outside. Weishart's just kind of watching in the distance, waiting for something to give Fear. They're dead even going into turn 1.
Alan Elwood rolling the bottom. Does he have the momentum? No, the 7 throttles back up and carries the speed. Noses ahead again. Update on the 96 of Jacob Hudson. He crashed off of turn 2 a couple laps ago. He is done for the day, I believe. But this battle for the top spot is fierce. Nose to nose, Connor out of turn 4.
Yeah, Hudson actually hit that opening driver's side, but still side by side. Never mind that. Hudson out of the race, but these two still battle hard for the race lead. And thanks to that, it keeps David Weishart in the battle, who was dropping back a little bit, but he's starting to catch back up and poking his nose in there for the top spot just before pit stops. I think Scioli's going to have enough of a run to clear Elwood back here.
Elwood can still send it down if he wants to. Not going to have much there, though. Comes Weishart, though. Massive front off the corners. Brad Slaughter with the newer tires going to fly by these guys like they're the lap cars, when in reality it's Slaughter. Well, now he's not sure what he's doing.
Scioli's lifting. One of them, I heard one of them clutching. I couldn't hear who it was. I couldn't tell if it was Elwood or Scioli, or even Weishart, but someone clutched in. I think it was Scioli.
On board with him now. Ooh, the 49 almost gets knocked into by the 33 of Weishart. Guys, we have 60 laps to go this next time by, and these drivers have run 50 on this tank. So do the math here. They can probably stretch it and try to make it, and that might be what Scioli and Elwood are trying to do, but they're fighting fiercely if that's the plan. Here comes the 33.
Well, this is pretty risky from Scioli. He's lifting and clutching and coasting to save fuel, and he's doing it while fending off two fast drivers who aren't doing the same thing. So this is pretty intense stuff from Scioli. If he can pull this off, saving fuel and keeping the race lead, that's pretty huge.
Weishart washing up the track a good bit. A lot going on here. I think we got a little bit of 3 wide action going on, almost 4 wide.
Oh, this is getting dicey. The 67 and 27. Throw the 20 of Munsell on fresh tires in. That was almost a moment.
Oh my gosh.
It might still be a moment.
they're trying to have a moment. Here comes Therian. He's going to try to get back into this battle. 3 cars for the top 5 position. He's going to let these two stay battling it out, though.
All playoff drivers, none mathematically locked in. Beckner with a bigger cushion than Hearn and Therian. Hearn entered 12th heading into tonight. Therian, not too much of a cushion there, not much room for error. He's going to look to the outside of Hearn. Boy, Hearn and Beckner have still been battling even after all the battles that we've seen throughout the rest of the pack. But now Therian going to insert himself into the mix.
Oh, my.
Boy, he slid in there just around the 67 and sets his sights on the 27 now of Travis Beckner. So that battle fizzles. How about this one? Ricky Harden and Greg Mitchell. And the 69 of A.J. Roderick for 10th.
Yeah, just behind him, Kui hit the wall, almost spun at it too, but he's able to save it. But this battle's still pretty huge. Greg Mitchell was pretty solid on points, but he hasn't had the best of runs tonight. That run at Indy Road Course looming large thanks to how many points he got out of that. Not having the best of luck this time around. A few drivers who are behind him really only because they pit. He hasn't been in the top 15 too much tonight, but he is starting to climb when he needs to. Ricky Hart's still trying to battle him. He just sticks in line. As Beckner and Therian starting to go at it for that 5th position. Just as quickly as Beckner got that position, he might have to give it right back.
For the lead again into turn 1. Elwood drops to the bottom. This is a fantastic battle, Hunter. We're high speed, progressive banked, day to night. This is a fantastic race that we get to see tonight in the Area Lodgebox Series.
Oh, without a doubt. We've only had one caution, but it was no surprise with the way they're racing. How last season's race went caution-free. We've only had that one yellow early on, involving the playoff drivers Rob Ackley and Tommy Ryan. Ackley out, Ryan still running, but at a slow pace, 2 laps down, 23rd. John Ferns is out there still logging in laps, though. If he can get around Ackley, that's a point for position, and if he can keep it clean.
He just passed Rob Ackley on the racetrack, so moves John Furness up a position.
Going to move him up a position, and if he can keep it clean, that'll be another bonus point for having 0 incident points. And here's a playoff driver, Greg Mitchell, looking for that top 10 over A.J. Roderick. And for the moment, all but one driver in the top 10 are playoff drivers, and that one driver being David Weishart, running, oh, by the way, in the 3rd spot. Seems like he's always running in 3rd no matter what.
So hearing news that the 4 blew a right front tire, and that's when he had to come to pit lane. So I wonder if drivers are going to have to start pitting because they're in danger of blowing out their Goodyears. Now, that's something that we've seen in the past at Las Vegas specifically, Connor, but I haven't seen the right front tire blow in iRacing in a long time because people typically know when to come. So if the wear is that high, any moment could be it for these drivers that have been driving real hard.
And I think they've had all they can take. Scioli is pitting this time by. He called it on the radio. I don't think is pitting. Elwood, I think, actually is pitting. I don't know about Weishart. We'll see who is pitting. I know for sure the 7 is. It should be Elwood as well if he's staying behind Scioli. As these 2 pit, Weishart's going to stretch another lap out. Eric Grant, who actually caught up a decent bit to those 3, is also going to pit with them. And here comes almost the rest of the field. Cameron Hearn stays out. But here comes Beckner, Therian, Fambro, Rabel, and Mitchell.
Boy, a lot of drivers coming in. Are they going to try and stretch it out? Because did see that some were clutching and saving, that was being the 7 of Scioli, but are these guys going to try and stretch it out to make it to the end if we go caution-free?
So I would assume.
We went, okay, so Weishart's on lap 57. We're coming up to 50 laps to go. So, yeah, they can go. They can make it all the way to the end from here.
You would think they'd be able to, with how much Scioli had to see more than anyone. Here comes everyone else, Hearn, Roger Carden.
I mean, Weishart did 57 laps on that run, so 30 plus 20 to get to finish out the race, 22. That's 52 laps easily.
That sequence of pit stops is really going to help Scioli. He had drivers breathing down his neck, but look at the gap he's got to 2nd place. And looking at who's going to cycle out potentially to 2nd place, it's Garrett Grant, who got ahead of Alan Elwood. Once again, what a night for him. He hasn't ran at the front too much, but he is having a clutch run as it stands tonight.
He's had a really good week here at Las Vegas. I can't remember if it was the Cup race or the truck race, but ran up front in one of those 2. I think both of them had pretty good nights. And he's really proving to have some secrets here at this racetrack that others would like to tap into. So if he can hang on to this, a top 5 or even a podium, what a great night that would be for Garrett Grant.
We'll just have to wait and see, but so far, really solid. He really got better on that long run. He chased down those top 3 and was really, I think he was within a second by the time they all came down the pit. So strategy is pretty much done. No one else to pit yet. No one else has to pit anymore, besides the drivers on the 2-stop strategy. Brad Slaughter Jr., Justin Munsell, I believe, are the only 2 who are going to try that. So they're really the only ones who should have to pit one more time, barring any caution flags. Those could happen at any point. You never know, but I don't know what those 2 are hoping
I think they want a caution. They just want it in 10, 15 laps maybe, or maybe even sooner, because everyone would come back down again, and they would get to keep their track position, but they're going to lose it quickly. Scioli is 1.2 seconds faster than Brad Slaughter Jr. last time by.
Yeah, so it really should only take maybe 10 to 15 laps for Skyler to get up there, as Alan Elwood is trying. Let's see what Alan Elwood can do here. He did get the second. Garrett Grant has let Elwood and Weishart by pretty quickly, so that would cycle him out to 4th once all is said and done. But he has a big gap back to Travis Beckner, who would cycle out 5th. So this is huge for him, and the points he's going to gain on specifically Chris Rabel and Colin Farnborough are the drivers he needs to pass tonight.
Shane Therian and Cameron Hearn trading spots. The 67, we haven't really seen the speed out of him that I think any of us were expecting, Hunter.
Not what I was expecting either. I picked the win.
Mine too.
I think he's just holding on to it, not trying to get into much trouble, because we saw what happened there between him and Beckner. They were close to making contact quite a bit. And go figure. He's got Travis Beckner right in front of him, though. But, hey, a caution could come out, could turn this whole race upside down.
David Weishart passed Alan Elwood on the front straightaway, and kind of knocking the final nail in the coffin there for Tommy Ryan. He drops 3 laps down, and his night and situation grows more dire every lap we complete, Connor.
Yeah, it's really looking rough for him. He is now running at the least. He is running 23rd. He passed Matthew Cochran because of his blown tire, although Cochran should get by him in a few laps, I believe. They are very close on track. He is by Jeff Ryan still, and Jacob Hudson dropping out of the race helped as well. That being said, Hudson did get back in the race. He's getting back on track now. That hurts John Furness. He probably won't get that bonus point, but regardless, really tough situation for Ryan, and he needs a little bit of help. If he can finish 24th, he's going to need some help from the guys who are trying to pass him, like not Rob Ackley, Chris Rabel, Colin Farnborough, Garrett Grant. He needs those guys to maybe drop down the order a little bit. It's looking pretty grim for the 99.
In the meantime, this is big for Garrett Grant. If he can just get inside the top 5. Where he's running right now is phenomenal, but if he can get inside the top 5, it would be even better.
Also want to note that John Furness, he's 34 laps behind Jacob Hudson. If he stays that distance behind, in about 15 laps time, he mathematically will not be able to catch anybody. And everyone else is running on the racetrack, so including Jacob Hudson. So Furness has nothing more to gain by about lap 96.
Yeah, the only driver out is Rob Ackley. We thought Hudson was out, but he did get repaired enough to get to run some laps here, albeit at a slower pace, way slower than Furness, but it should be, I wouldn't say all she wrote for Furness, because I think he still is gonna have a good shot. It's still advancing, but definitely wish he could get that extra spot for sure. I'm sure he wished.
Well, Steve Durham and Ryan Swan, they were definitely going at it there for the 16th spot. Ryan Swan making his 100th start across all 3 area series. Got the one of Durham, though, all over his bumpers, trying to drop away from him, but Durham won't go away just yet.
They were bump drafted on turn 4 last time by. Notice that might have been even a little bit of contact, which is why the cameras ended up on these 2, but now kind of nicely behaving back here in 16th spot. Ed Robertson and Shane Therian, their next closest group for 10th. In terms of position change, Ricky Harden and AJ Roderick actually also pretty close.
Yeah, pretty much 3 separate battles for a different position, that makes sense for battles. The 2 battles, Roderick and Harden, not too far ahead of Swan and Durham, so eventually these 2 battles could merge together depending on if one group's faster than the other, but all 4 of them running similar laps, and all 4 of them single file, trying to find a way to even set up the pass, let alone make the passes. Durham's still trying to run the bottom. Swan's kind of entering high, exiting low, and it's getting him pulled away. from the one machine as Brad Slaughter Jr. continues to give up time. Same thing for Justin Munsell, both on the same strategy. Munsell 4.5 seconds back of Brad Slaughter Jr. and then 3 more seconds back to Scioli on the one stop.
Now, when are those two going to have to pick? 'Cause I doubt that even if they start saving, they're going to be able to make it to the end on fuel, but I'm sure that these guys are going to have to pit at some point.
Oh, for sure. I would say maybe in around 10 laps time, they might start to come down, Kyle.
Yeah, so they can go another 20, 25 laps, but you're not going to want to go that far. You don't really want to not leave yourself the opportunity to utilize a fresh set of tires and overuse your current set. So if they're going to split this evenly, they're going to pit at about 5 laps.
Yeah, because the one thing that these guys tried to two-stop, they made their bed, they're kind of stuck in it. The last thing you really want to do is kind of run this run to the very end on fuel and lose any chance you have of passing people back. You'd only give yourself about 15 laps to pass people back, and that's really not what you want to do. If you're really desperate and only care about trying to get the track position, I guess Slaughter and Munsell could stay out, but like I said, it's not really what you want to do. At this point, you're kind of stuck in the strategy.
Speaking of stuck, Ricky Harvin is stuck behind AJ Roderick in the 15 car. Currently running in the 15th spot, but just cannot seem to get close enough to find a way around that 69 of AJ Roderick as they're navigating their way down the back stretch here. Now we've crossed less than 40 to go here, and I agree. I would have pitted as soon as they hit lap 90, but I guess a little further wouldn't hurt too much if they've come this far.
40 laps to go, just under 38 laps to go next time by. Fans, we've seen our SimWrap Market replay a couple of times, but be sure to check out simwrapmarket.com for custom iRacing paint scheme templates that are simple to use and help you stay more focused on the racetrack. And be sure to check out rickshotsauce.com for some of the best hot sauces made locally in South Florida. Be sure to follow the Rick's Hot Sauce Rookie of the Year battle in the Area Cup Series and see who will take home the $100 prize as the highest finishing rookie in the point standings. You're watching the Area Lodgebox Series from Las Vegas Motor Speedway, eliminating 4 of our 12 playoff competitors, the ones lit up in green on the timing and scoring. Trouble for Rob Ackley and Tommy Ryan. John Furness starting very, very late tonight, 55 laps down, trying to recover and to cling to whatever advantage he had coming into the night. And now different strategies for Brad Slaughter Jr. and Justin Munsell over Scioli, Weishart, Elwood, and Grant. Kyle Heyer, Connor Horn, and Hunter Sleppy bringing you the action. Winding down here, Connor, 35 to go very shortly.
And still many other points battles here tonight as well. Fambro and Rabel's the one I've been paying attention to. Fambro came in tonight 3 points behind Chris Rabel, and right now they're only separated by 3 points. Neither driver has any bonus points as far as I'm concerned. So right now they're tied on points, but right now they're both being bested, I believe, by Garrett Grant, who came in tonight 4 points behind Rabel. So he's jumping both of these guys for the time being. Actually, now I think about it, he is 6th, though he is jumping Fambro. He's definitely jumping Rabel for the time being.
We see Munsell down pit road. One thing I've noticed is that Forrest Smith seems to me like he's out of the race. I'm not sure if Furness has enough laps to catch him past the 84. He's been stuck on pit road for quite some time.
If he doesn't get back in the car,
I think he comes like 5 short of Furness getting up.
It's close. 44 laps up. No, laps. 11 laps. 44. Yeah, he is going to be short a couple of laps, though he won't be able to catch Forrest Smith.
Unless they get a yellow, like coming out of 4. I don't even think that would be enough laps to earn it.
Well, maybe with some overtimes, but that's not likely, I don't think.
It's really bigger for Tommy Ryan because at least gets him one more position over the 84 to 23rd. It's the one he got that back after Cochran passed him back, so helps the 99 a little bit, but he's still losing a lot of points right now. Saying that Chris Rabel is only outpointing him by 12, and I believe he came into tonight, I think he came in 11 ahead of Rabel, so I think Chris Rabel's barely getting the 99. Still, obviously no reason to dwell on it because it could change at any moment, but I just like points, man. Gotta love points.
Whoa, Munsell. Almost tangled with the 38 out of turn 2 there, Hunter.
He almost got pointed in the wrong direction.
Yeah, those points aren't good.
Fresh tires, old tires.
I thought there was some contact there, but There's just a long focal length on that virtual lens, making it look a little tighter than it was. Here's Robertson and Rabel. This is for 10th. Critical points for the 29 to get.
It's really not going to be a challenge at Robertson's. Not going to put up a fight. 29's going to get by. Really no issues. Still another maybe 2.5 seconds up to Shane Therian. Unlikely the 29 chases him down, running similar laps, but you never know what might happen. Still looking at the lead, Brad Slaughter Jr. Munsell pit. Slaughter Jr. has not. The gap is about 1.5 seconds, but the gaps between times, the time difference between these two is only about 0.4 now, so it's definitely starting to even out as Slaughter comes closer and closer to his pit stop.
So I would have pit a few laps ago if I were Slaughter. I guess he's going to wait until the 7 gets around him and then pit, or come in and pit this time by?
At this point, you know it's a losing strategy, so he's not in the playoffs. He's got nothing to race for other than the win, so cling on. Hope you get a yellow from some guys fighting, and maybe you live it to see another day. Once you get past, I think you hit pit lane. But I think Brad Slaughter Jr. knows the strategy is not going to work for him, so the best he can do is stay out there and hope to steal the lead on a caution here late.
Yeah, but it's not looking like he's going to get a caution right now. Pretty spread out, not too many battles. Munsell is passing Hearn, but that's not for position. See what Munsell can do. See what kind of time he can gain back. I don't expect it to be much, but for the most part, really all these battles are single file. Roderick and Hart still bumper to bumper. See Durham is kind of on his own. Ryan Swan has dropped back since then. It's pretty orderly, which is kind of hard to believe considering how we started this race. It seemed like we were too wide, 5 lanes deep.
Weishart to close the gap a little bit on himself and Scioli. As soon as Brad Slaughter comes down pit road, this will be the battle for the lead, around 1.2 seconds separating the 33 and the 7.
I think that's been my biggest surprise, is that Scioli, Weishart, and Elwood are not as close as I would have thought they'd get after this many laps in a run. I think we'll still kind of have that accordion effect, and everyone will kind of fall back together towards the end, as they always do, but I thought they'd be battling a little harder right now, and just naturally they would have ended up closer, but they have not. They still sit about the 2nd and the 10th or 2 apart from each other.
Still not fully sold that these guys are 100% safe to the end. I understand everyone made it to their number, but for Scioli, for example, he was the one that was clutching and coasting most out of anyone.
They have to be good to the end, because they had so many laps. They had 57 laps on that tank of fuel when they came in, and they pit with 52 to go. So there's no way that they're not safe, right?
I would assume that most of them are pretty solid to the end. I'm just saying, Scioli had to save a lot to get to that point. He was clutching, coasting for at least 10 laps on the end of that run, so it can't be fully sold, I would assume, but you just never know. I'm still surprised, like you were talking about, also I'm surprised that Elwood is not closer, because he came in right on the bumper of Scioli. He lost an insane amount of time on pit road.
I'm all for chaos, so
I vote for
left and right.
Fighting.
I'm all for it.
I vote the chaos. I pressed the chaos button on this race.
Here comes Scioli to the bottom. This will put Brad Slaughter Jr. out of the lead and probably end up triggering the 81 to hit pit lane next time by. Or maybe cling to it for a few more laps in hopes that it'll get a yellow and have a 2nd place instead of a 15th or 20th, but that's about all he's got going at this stage.
So trying to pay attention to some battles. 7th place is somewhat contested. Beckner, Fambro, and Therian in a row, but neither really challenging one another quite yet. So that would be where I would point my camera lens if I had one. I don't operate those. Or should I? I'm not good at it.
subtle burn.
Yeah. You're gonna have to glance by that.
Okay. Shane Therian, 12th up to 9th tonight. Playoff competitor, and hasn't been an amazing night, but hasn't been a catastrophic one either. And Hunter, I think he's in a good spot to just carry on and kind of scrape through this one without making a whole lot of noise about it.
Yeah, and when Slaughter comes down pit road, it's going to be another spot for him, another spot for guys like Grant and Fambro, who entered tonight on the outside looking in. By the way, Fambro, nice recovery after that mishap on pit road under caution. So 3 wide over there with Slaughter, but Fambro has recovered nicely in the 8th spot. And not out of it just yet. If he can close in on Beckner, get another spot, that could be 2 huge spots for the 18th.
So closing in on 20 laps to go. This race is in its closing moments here. And James Scioli has been absolutely dominant so far this race. And in terms of the season, 5 wins, including last week at the IMS road course. The next closest is Elwood with 3. And as far as Scioli's wins go, they've been kind of spread out throughout the season, but they have happened in pairs, Mid-Ohio and Iowa. And then, of course, if he were to get it done tonight, it would be IMS and now with just Charlotte, Roval, and Darlington kind of separated on their own. So interesting season for Scioli that he's kind of spread the love around. Didn't really get hot at any one particular point, Connor, but winning all throughout the season is a great way to lock yourself into pretty much any championship battle as Slaughter finally hits pit lane.
We'll see if he can gain time back. Slaughter, I think the field went about as far as it could for him, as we'll see if Scioli can get hot at the right time. Look, you're talking about very sporadic wins for the most part, but if he can get on a streak right now, this would be the best time to do it, going into the playoffs, going to the next round of the playoffs, having the most momentum and all that. Couldn't happen at a better time before coming into the getting closer and closer to that championship week, championship race. Big at this point, no doubt about it, as he gets by Tommy Ryan once more. Traffic kind of playing a little bit of a factor. Really, the guys on fresh tires were playing a factor right now. Munsell and James Cooey as well, keeping these two somewhat close, but also preventing any big battles from happening.
Fambro still hot on the tracks of Travis Beckner, trying to hold on to the 6th spot, but Fambro trying to move up one more spot. Going to help him in the long run as well. There's Hearn, another good run for him inside the top 5, but isn't enough to propel himself from all the way down on the playoff grid inside the top 8.
It's about as good as I see the 67 running tonight. Just hasn't really set the world on fire. And I think this is all we're going to get out of the 67, unless we get a late race restart or something. Then I'd put my money squarely on the 67 or the 7, given how wild the restarts have been, with the 7 just driving around the outside of everybody. But under 20 laps to go, coming to 19 to go, David Weishart chipping away at it, a 10th quicker last time by.
Is getting about a 10th per lap when they're on their own, really, with no lap traffic. Weishart's reeling it in. Last time by, basically another 10th off that lead, almost down to half a second. But the problem we saw at the end of last run, how hard it is to pass, because James Scioli can just stick it to that middle lane, and it makes it extremely difficult for the driver behind to even attempt to pass on the bottom lane because of how bad those bumps are.
Well, Munsell got on the wall there just a little further up the road from our leaders. Riding in car with David Weishart as his driver. James Scioli continuing to lead, but well, other than that time coming out of 4, with a little loose there for Weishart, he's closed the gap quite a bit on his driver, Scioli. And remember, Scioli's already locked into the next round. He won last week. Anything here would be more than grateful for him, but I think Weishart would want to win as well.
Yeah, that was my next question to you, Hunter, was will he race him? I mean, playoff competitor Weishart is not, but Scioli's locked in. What good does it do him now? I think Weishart should go after it.
I would think so. I would assume he's going to go after it. He's still gaining a lot of time per lap. Last time by, it was closer to maybe 0.2 of a second. We'll see what it is this time by. 32.147. Identical laps from both drivers last time by. This is going to get good to the end.
Well, it seems like they're on the same page then.
I would
I'd
think
say so, yep. Nobody else in sight, by the way. Elwood is 2 seconds back. This will likely come down to these two unless they really start scrapping. Back to Ricky Hardin and AJ Roderick. They've traded spots, but I don't think we're quite done seeing these two door to door.
Eric Wineland's warning someone about intentional wrecking, but I'm not sure who it was. I think it was Bryce Senesac who he was reprimanding, but I didn't see anything that happened, but maybe we can look at it later. But never mind that, the battle for the lead is going to go down to the wire for sure. Elwood a 10th faster than both drivers last time by, but I don't think he has enough time to get there. Still, it all came down to that pit sequence where Elwood lost so much time getting out of the pit.
All the lap traffic they're going to have to deal with, though. Tons of lap traffic in the final 15 laps of this one.
I'm sure Elwood likes that. I'll say that. Maybe Elwood does have a chance if they have to get to all those guys. That is a lot to deal with.
The first one we're going to catch is Bryce Senesac, David Weishart Racing drivers, so probably going to move out of the way for those two smoothly. Can't say the same about the other 6 or 7 drivers that are right in front of them.
So we got a brief moment here, so let's go back and see if we can find the 09's scenario. It's going to take me a moment to find. What was the other? Oh, it was the 20. That was the other car involved.
Yeah, something to do with Justin Munsell. Here he comes to pass him, and oh,
Right here.
yeah. Just kind of,
Ooh.
yeah, chases him up the track and
Oh,
tried to hit him
that was
for sure.
where we saw the 20 get in the fence.
Yep.
All
Didn't
right.
see how he got in the fence, just saw that he got in the fence, but a little more to the story there now.
And that's why Wineland warned him over the radio about doing that. As yeah, that's kind of, I wouldn't say kind of, it's definitely blatant. But we're by it now, and they're not close to each other.
More drivers in the wall down the backstretch.
Is that Urban?
No, that's Swan.
Swan, he hit it hard too. He's on the apron.
He was battling Urban for 16th, as he might bring it down to pit lane and call it a night. Not how he wanted his 100th start to go, as he's battling Urban on the outside and just runs out of room. Slapped it hard.
Kept it down low after that. Gonna park it. You did good, Ryan. You did good.
Good job recovering it, not taking out others with them. At least that's one positive out of that. So here come the traffic. It's actually taken them a little while to get here, a little bit longer than I would have thought. And Weishart has not really been able to eat into Scioli's lead. Elwood has chewed into Weishart a little bit, but it's going to come down to the traffic in the final 5 laps. I think that's the reality of this.
I think what's hurting is dirty air. He got to within half a second, and it's kind of stayed there for Weishart. Last time by, really not faster. A little faster, but not too much, as you see Scioli starting to move his line up a little bit, starting to inch towards that middle lane to prevent Weishart from using it to his advantage. And that's why this is kind of stalemated to a half a second gap between these two. And that's why Elwood's kind of closing in a little bit more lap by lap, because he doesn't have to deal with that quite yet.
Not yet, and he's hoping that this can continue, because... Well, no, I don't know if he's going to have enough time. We're at 10 to go right now, but if he keeps this up, he might have a shot at taking second away from Weishart if they keep this up, but it's going to be awfully close. I might need a yellow to get back in this one.
10 laps to go, 15 miles from Las Vegas. And the gap is 4/10 between Scioli to Weishart. It's down to 1.3 between Weishart and Scioli, or Elwood, excuse me. So Elwood is closing, but I think he's still going to need these two to tangle with some traffic to really make up the ground he needs to have a legitimate shot at this.
Weishart had to breathe it there out of turn number 4. That cost him a lot. That cost him maybe 2/10 there, so that might be all Scioli needs, as now he's firmly planted to that middle line through 1 and 2 as he catches up to Mike Tellier, who's the first driver on the list, but they're side by side for that 17th position. Not what he wants to see.
Teammate of Elwood, too, Sky Motorsports, so he's going to run right in front of the 7 here, try to slow him down. Going to slow the 33 down. It's only going to help Elwood here.
Whoa, Senesek got loose.
And
There's really nothing they can do either.
Weishart made up a 10th in that corner alone. Remember, these guys aren't that much slower than the leaders. They might have to kind of drive through them, and all this air, Weishart's made up the 2/10 that he lost a lap ago. That's how fast it goes away to the outside of the 47.
That was going to get close.
Oh, man, that's tight.
That was tight, but at least it's one car between Scioli and David Weishart, which is huge. And Tellier, we'll see if he does anything for Weishart. I wouldn't expect him to, and Scioli easily gets by the 09 of Senesac, so really no harm other than when they were side by side. 2 cars between the top 2 is pretty huge at this point in the race.
Especially when one of them is your teammate and the other is a teammate of the driver running in 3rd.
Yes.
Oh, it's going to be close there with Weishart. Wow.
Yeah, Weishart didn't really lose a lot of ground in that exchange, but he didn't gain any either, and that was a pretty critical moment. And we're running out of laps here, and with Weishart's got to be there, I think, by 5 to go to really have a shot. It's been hard to pass tonight once you kind of get some laps on the tires, and these guys have really been driving to the limit of the tires. I just don't think there's that much more to gain in the corners. You got to be there, Connor, and we're running out of laps to get there.
Yeah, he lost about 2/10 through 3 and 4. That's where Weishart's really starting to struggle, as he's going to need a little bit of help from other lap cars, but don't know if Scioli's really going to catch any more heavy traffic, as someone's low on the track.
That was the 47.
Tellier got out of Elwood's way.
Gave him
Hudson
the
gets out of the way as well.
and pulled over. 5 laps to go this time through. That was tight between the 48 and 09.
Right in front of Weishart, too.
And that's really trouble for Weishart because now he has nowhere to go. Senesak is going to have to follow the 09 through, basically, to get by the 48 of Irvin. He'll look under the 09, see how much Senesak battles him out of 2. He will battle him. He won't give him anything to work with as more and more time gets between the 2 leaders as John Furness ducking out of the way and Cochran getting out of the way as well. And that should be the last of lap traffic. I don't think Scully's going to catch Jeff Ryan.
I don't think so either, unless he starts logging laps here. Got 4 to go at the line, but Elwood definitely has his eyes set on Weishart for that second spot. If he could just get around the lap car of Bryce Senesak, might open up the window for him to make that pass on second.
So Weishart has gone from hunting to being hunted by the 49.
Now Elwood's in a bad spot.
Yeah, tricky scenario here into turn 3 for the 49. There just isn't a huge delta in the time between the lap cars and the
Oh, spin! Fambro! Fambro's wrecking, and Travis Beckner in turn 4, but they kept it straight and they'll stay green. That was huge because Fambro's only 2 points ahead of Chris Rabel and not in at the time being, I don't think, but I don't know how they didn't wreck in general.
Here's a look.
Replay here.
Oh, into turn 3.
Wow.
Wow.
I don't know if that was a big miscommunication or something, but
that looked like a little bit of netcode right there.
he was driving right on the quarter panel there, though. That looked pretty egregious to me, but I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know why either. I'll agree with you. I don't know. There was no reason to get that close into the corner, but it really hurts Fambro more than anyone. Although, that being said, he does get the position, which puts him tied with Chris Rabel on points, so I don't know if there's strategy to that or not, but it's helped him for now.
He's got the position on him, and if he can stay ahead of Therian, that might pay a big dividend as to whether or not if he makes it or not. That's a point for him, but then again, Beckner's lost a spot, so that's going to be another point for Therian. In the meantime, the white flag's waving in the air. One more time around Las Vegas for James Scioli.
James Scioli won 5 races this season, and this could be a 6th. He has been absolutely the dominant car here tonight. Fought hard with Weishart and Elwood and others throughout this race, but he has led nearly 100 laps. And despite any dramas in behind him, despite those that are fighting for their way into the round of 8 in the playoffs, Scioli was locked in last week, and he's locked in again and moves on with 2 wins, sweeps the round of 12. James Scioli wins at Las Vegas.
Good win for Scioli, dominant tonight, and here's the battle, Mitchell and Beckner. Beckner actually got passed by Rabel, so that advantage for Fambro went away, which means Rabel should be 1 point ahead of Colin Fambro. I don't know if that's the cut line or not, but it could be huge regardless. That got a bit too much dramatic to the end there as that battle subsides. Mitchell 9th, Beckner 10th, and Robertson 11th. Boy, did that get exciting.
Whew, exciting indeed, and we'll have to see what the points say otherwise, as they're going to work on that right now. But man, oh man, I'm interested in seeing if that move Fambro may work for him.
Beckner's about to turn Fambro, I think. Revving his engine at him, definitely not happy.
So you got a penalty if you wreck someone under caution after the race is over, so you got to be smart here if you're Beckner.
Face each other down pit lane.
Look out pit road.
Definitely drivers upset, but this guy is not. James Scioli burns it down in Las Vegas, celebrates a 2nd win, and easily moves to the round of 8 with 2 more wins than when he started.
And it really came down to the end. That being said, it came down to the end for Scioli. He was really dominant tonight, and getting the pole was well, he didn't get the pole, but getting to the lead early was a big factor in how he won this race just so fast on a short run that it made the long runs not matter too much for the drivers behind him, like the 33 and others. So really solid run, showing he can do it on any track they throw at him.
Race results. Top of the screen, Scioli gets it done. David Weishart 2nd, and the rest of the top 10, all playoff competitors. It was feast or famine for the playoff competitors tonight, Hunter.
Indeed it was, and we saw there at the very end, Fambro got into Travis Beckner there to move himself up a spot, and Therian, Rabel, Mitchell all got around Beckner, and Beckner still got the top 10. And Beckner had a big cushion, so it really didn't affect him too much, but might be some hurt feelings going into Auto Club next week.
Certainly, looking down the rest of the order here, 11 through 20. And Connor, this is where we noticed that the top 10 had 9 playoff drivers, 11 through 20 has none, so there are 3 that are unaccounted for, and they are all outside of the top 20.
Yeah, whether it was because of incident or not being able to, not being able to join the race in time, no one around here, and that shows really the two sides of the playoff bracket tonight. Got drivers having really solid runs, and other drivers just really having nothing to show for. Only 15 drivers on the lead lap. Senesac got called up a hauler after his incident. He finished 16th. A few drivers there that could have ran better as we get to the bottom of the order, Hunter.
Yep, looking through on the bottom of the results, and we just got word on the points. So Tommy Ryan and his incident, he is out of the playoffs. That hurt him by quite a bit, out by 3 points. Colin Fambro, that move he made not enough, is outside by 2 points. It was actually Grant and Rabel are on the tiebreaker. So they are 2 points above. Fambro 2 points below. Cameron Hearn not in. Rob Ackley not in. Tommy Ryan and Colin Fambro all missing the postseason. Chris Rabel, Garrett Grant up 3 spots is Grant in the playoff standings. So he's going to fight another fight here as we go to Auto Club next week. Going to slim it down from 8 to 4.
Yeah, so the drivers out, Fambro, Ryan, Hearn, and Ackley. So Cameron really needed that win, and Fambro needed a little bit more than that move on Beckner, Connor. So the drivers that move on to the round of 8, James Scioli, Alan Elwood, Travis Beckner, Greg Mitchell, John Furness, Shane Therian, Chris Rabel, and Garrett Grant, courtesy of that 4th place run for the number 5.
And it's such a huge run as well. Garrett Grant needed something like that. I think that's his 3rd top 5 of the season, and it could not have came at a better time. He hadn't had those runs as of late, but he really, there's no other way to say it. He clutched up tonight and had such a solid run. And it really was a lot to do with that cycle of green flag pit stops that got him up into the 2nd position briefly. That was huge.
It was huge. Huge for Alan Elwood tonight, 3rd place in tonight's race. I know you wanted to win, Alan, and add to the stats, but P3 tonight just needed some more lap traffic, some more pace, some more tire. What'd you need to go run down Weishart and Scioli?
Track position, everything. It's this car. It's really all important to be up front and dictate the pace. I felt like I learned a lot in the first run and capitalized it on the second run, but it's so hard to pass at this track, especially in this car. Doesn't matter if it's day or night, it's so difficult. So I kept trying the bottom because you really just can't get to somebody's outside the way that you have to run this track. And even when I tried to get to his outside, the right rear wanted to slip. So all in all, not a bad night. I was too easy getting on a pit road the last time, and then lost a little bit of track position with Garrett to being at my outside coming out of pit road. So I lost time there, and then just tried to make it up by saving tire and then pushing at the end, and hope that the lap cars, I'd capitalize on those guys. So they pushed the leaders back to me, but then they ended up costing me a chance at the win there at the end. So I was kind of frustrated at that, but it is what it is. Can't be too upset at the 3rd place.
Well, we look ahead to Auto Club Speedway Richmond. That's our round of 8, and then we head to Nashville for the season finale. How do you feel about those next upcoming tracks? They're 2 very different ones, same shape, but vastly different size. Auto Club and Richmond, you can add to that 3-win total so far?
Yeah, I think so. Auto Club is really one of my stronger tracks. I don't like racing there, but it tends to be one of my better ones. I guess that's sometimes how it goes. But Richmond, I'm usually pretty quick. So all in all, I think it's a good schedule finishing out the year. Looking forward to it, and just hopefully be there at the Final 4.
Alan Elwood, P3 in the Simrat Market Toyota. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys.
Moving on now to 2nd place, and just a little bit shy, but a good night for the team. David Weishart, a 2nd back from James Scioli. Lap traffic interfering there a little bit at the end, David, but the 7 just had so much pace and could shoot out of a cannon on the start and restart. Take us through your night and following the 7.
Yeah, it was really weird. I was in tire save mode from the get-go on those starts because I won here last season doing it. Like, I was just painting the white line the whole way around last year, and I was like the only one doing it. And that really paid off to my advantage. This year, most of the field caught on, but James ran the middle for the most part, and he got out there, and I would run him down, and I could get about a half second away from him, and I would just lose the nose on exit. So these cars are hard to pass in. I wish we had dynamic track back to widen the track out, but I mean, it is what it is. Lap cars, at the end, they're all racing for position. We're racing for position. You can't really fault them. They did the best to get out of their way, but yeah, just glad to come out here with a P2.
David Weishart, second place. We'll see you next week.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you. James Scioli gets his 6th win on the season, back-to-back after last week's win at the IMS Road Course. James, tonight, a really, really good race. Led almost 100 laps, dominated this thing. Strategy it played into your favor, and on the start and restart, the one that we had, you were just a rocket ship blasting around everybody. What made you so good on those restarts? And congratulations on your win.
Yeah, thank you first off. And I last second call to kind of go with a lower steering ratio than I run, quite a bit lower, just making it faster. And I figured I was just going to kill the tires. I didn't think I was going to be good on the long runs at all. In that first long run, I was not good. Like you guys saw, I was able to, I think I got to like 2.5 second lead, but was not good on that first run. And so I just knew that I needed to save a little bit better and just try and get used to it. I knew that I wasn't going to win this race running what I was normally running. Did not feel comfortable going into it. So just kind of a last second call there to change that. And it seemed to really help on the short runs. And I was able to kind of manage it on the long runs. It was still pretty tough. I think that some of the guys were still definitely better on the long run, Alan mainly, but just glad that it worked out. Really was not expecting to even have an interview in this one. So don't really know what to say, but.
Well, you got it done, and now we head to Auto Club and Richmond for our round of 8, and then Nashville in the finale. Are there any trouble spots on that calendar? Because you've had some wins kind of all throughout the season, but do you think you can get any more before the season's out?
Yeah, I really like Nashville for the last race. Big fan of how that track drives. Kind of like a 1.5 miles, but also races a little bit more like a shorter track. So it's definitely feel like that'll suit my driving style. And then really looking forward to Richmond. I think that's a day race, so it's going to be all about the rear tires. I think that one should be really fun, and I think that I'll have a good shot there. Not really sure about Auto Club. Not really a huge fan of the 2 milers, but definitely give it my best shot.
All right, James. Hey, congratulations. We'll see you next week. Best of luck to you there. Locked in with a sweep of the round of 12. We'll see you there.
Thanks, guys, and big thanks to you guys in the booth all year. These broadcasts are incredible, so I just want to say big hats off to you guys and the admin team. I know we're getting down to it, so appreciate them for sticking through it and doing what they're doing. And then Rick's Hot Sauce, code Scioli, will get you $7 off at rickshotsauce.com. And Butt Kicker, Dandles Candles, Matco Tools, DWR, we're leading the team points, so hopefully we can lock in that championship too. So.
Excellent. We'll see you next week, James. Congrats.
Thanks, guys.
All right, guys, before we wrap things up, one more thing to say. Of course, fans, be sure to check out AreaIRacing.shop for merchandise to represent your favorite driver. Shop from our selection of t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, stickers, and more. Use code SWAN for 10% off your order at checkout. Connor, final thoughts on Las Vegas. Good race tonight. Lots of green flag running. Scioli sweeps the round of 12, but having a look at our race recap, one caution in our 130-lap race, 3 leaders, 6 lead changes. It was a fun one.
And that one caution sort of dictated the layout for the next round of the playoffs, eliminating Tommy Ryan and also eliminating Rob Ackley as well. So that one yellow had some big implications. 5th to 11th in points, by the way, if this is correct. We're only separated by 7 points from John Furness back to Cameron Hearn in 11th. That's how tight it got at the end. And it came down to the final laps with the incidents between Beckner and Fambro. It got pretty wild, but at the end of the day, 2 points separates Garrett Grant and Chris Rabel from Fambro unofficially. And it was a very wild one with, like you said, solid racing. But all in all, a dominant Scioli tonight, and we'll see if we get dominant Scioli next week as well at Auto Club.
I am looking forward to Auto Club. They put on a show last season, had a photo finish in the Cup Series, went down to fuel mileage. I don't know if it'll do that, but I'm looking forward to the exciting racing that we're going to see at Auto Club. 2 wide, 3 wide, 4 wide. Playoff lanes are big enough to go 5 wide and 6 wide if they dare to do so. The famed 2-mile oval over there in Southern California. I cannot wait, Kyle.
It's going to be a fun one. Auto Club Speedway, Fontana, California next week, all the way from Nevada to the West Coast, and then we'll head back over to the East Coast for Richmond to set our final 4 drivers for Nashville Super Speedway to wrap up our 2023 spring season. Thanks so much, Kyle Heyer, Hunter Sleppy, and Connor Horn alongside you. We'll see you again next week from California.